All right, everybody has problems, and a lot of people are trying to make a lot more money, but there are a number of things holding them back. And here's one really important thing you need to do to make more money. Now, I'm not a financial guru, but I've had my ups and downs, and I know a lot of people with a lot of money, and I've done better than I ever thought I would. All right, so I'm at this meeting today, right? We're at this steakhouse, and it was actually a barbecue joint, and it was a business meeting of me and some friends. And as I was taking my tray through the line to the register, the lady rang it up. I gave her my debit card. She rang up the sale, and when I signed the receipt, I noticed there was no tip section. And I told her, I said, "Hey, there's no room for a tip on here." And she said, "Oh yeah, whatever." And I said, "Well, I said you should probably tell your manager to put a tip section on there, because if there's a tip section on the receipt, I'm going to at least put $2 or $3. It was a $13 meal, and $2 or $3, that's a generous tip, about average probably. And she kind of laughed. I said, "Seriously, you should tell your manager to put the tip section on the receipt. The restaurant would make more money." And she laughed about it and giggled it off and said, "Oh, have a nice day, sir." And so I walked away, not giving them as much money as I would have willingly given them otherwise, if they would have given me the opportunity. So what's my point here? A lot of you aren't making as much money as you want because you're not asking for it. There are opportunities you're leaving on the table where people would happily pay you even a little bit more money per transaction or per paycheck or per job or whatever it is, or per hour, whatever, if you would just ask. Now, this is one of the only restaurants I've ever seen that did not put a tip section on the receipt. And they're a pretty well-known restaurant, at least around Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And I was pretty shocked, but you know what? I happily put my debit card back in my wallet, and I walked away with more money still in my pocket rather than giving it to them. Now, it would have really worked to the advantage of the restaurant if they just put that little tip section, because believe it or not, there is a little bit of pressure. If the tip is there, if the tip section and it's blank, even if it's just the person ringing you up, a lot of people feel like, well, they're doing that. They didn't really bring me my food or anything. But most people will still give a buck or two. If you have 500 people a day come through your restaurant or your business, and it's just a buck or two, that's an extra $500 to $1,000 a day that you'd be leaving on the table. So don't leave money on the table. Be willing to ask people for money, all right? Give them the opportunity and make it easy for them, all right? I think the greatest example of this time in history is the Apple Store. I walked into the Apple Store the other day to buy a hard drive. I scanned it on my phone, paid for it with my Apple Pay, and I walked out. The guy didn't even want to see my receipt. I walked out with the merchandise. I never talked to anybody. I actually felt weird because I knew I didn't have to, but I walked back in and I held up my phone. I said, "Hey, do you need to see my receipt?" And he laughed. He said, "Nope, don't need to see it." That's just how they're doing things now at Apple. They make it so easy. It's like the Harley Davidson store. Oh, I spend so much money at both of these places, but they make it so easy for you to pay them. So make it easy for people to pay you. Have your tip section, whatever that is. All right, don't leave it on the table. People are willing to pay if you give them the opportunity.